you should be on one as well. So it is a brand new year. I have a brand new beard, I have a brand new camera, and more importantly, a brand new bike. I say brand new, it's new to me. Obviously this is an older model, came out in 2009, so it's far from brand new. But I bought it in October last year, so for 2017 this will be my set of wheels. So with this particular model you have a seat height of 800mm, which means that it fits me quite nicely, my legs aren't too cramped, and I could use it for some light touring, also usable for going around town. You can be quite low to it. Broad statistics, it's got 105 brake horsepower, it's got 50 foot-pounds of torque. It weighs about 189 kilograms thereabouts. The problem with it is that they have the dry and the wet weight. I think that's 189 wet, so it makes about 167 kilograms dry. With the Street Triple R 2009 version or 2008 onwards, you have 4-piston Nissans on the front with a 308mm floating disc, which isn't inadequate, but you can find better on other bikes. On the back you have a 1-piston Nissan. On the newer ones it will be a Brembo, but again, not astounding, not astonishing. It will stop you if you need it to. It has Kayaba suspension front and back, same as you would find on the standard, except that on the R it is of course fully adjustable to make it even more sporty, so that you can use it a little bit more track focused. So obviously I should give you a little bit of the history of the Street Triple. As I might have mentioned, it came out in 2007. The 2007 versions look almost identical to this one. They have the bug eye, round headlights, and rounder styling, a little bit stubbier looking than the newer ones. Then in 2008 they bring out an R version, which is what we see here. This is 2009 obviously, but it hasn't changed. It's the same model essentially. What they did to improve it were give it better brakes, front and back, and they improved the suspension so that it was fully adjustable all over. Then in 2011/12, I get a little confused because the internet has mixed reports on when it first came out. I'm going to side with 2012, but they brought out a reinvented version of it. In terms of looks, they made it more aggressive as far as styling goes, and they stretched the lights. Then what you'll find in 2013 looks very similar to the 2012 version with those stretched lights, but they moved the exhaust from the back to the side. Now it looks like that's pretty much all they did to the bike, but actually they went over the entire machine with a fine-tooth comb and refined it top to bottom to make it a little bit better. So they fettled the engine, they made it more responsive, a little bit more refined. Doesn't really add much more horsepower, but it made it a little bit better. So they did move the exhaust from the back to the single exit side mounted unit, which I think looks quite good actually. It takes a bit of visual weight off the back, but it also takes a lot of actual weight off the back because these cans are very heavy. So moving that to the middle is actually what made the front to back weight distribution that much better. They also managed to make first gear a little bit taller, which made it more usable in a town, so that you didn't have to keep changing through the gears quite as much, but it makes it less aggressive in first. Now obviously what does that mean to you? It means it's nice to get something this side of 2013, unless you simply cannot bear those headlights. Having said that, if you don't like them, you can change them and get a headlight conversion. You can find some in the UK, you can find some in America. Obviously, if you're in the UK, importing the American ones will be a bit of a pain in the arse, but they are that much better, so I would recommend doing it. You can get them for a few £100s, basically. Obviously, then you have to pay tax on it. If you're in the States, happy days. You can just order it, send it to your house. No import charge at all. Made in the US, brought to the US, probably made in China, but it's at least shipped from the US. You can also get a headlight conversion where it is a single headlight. But then why the hell would you do that? And if you have, you disgust me. Well, you don't. Fair enough. If you can show me a photo of your bike looking great with a single headlight on a Street Triple, then I will doff my hat and I will fully eat humble pie. I'll consume the whole effing thing. But the ones that I've seen on the internet don't really work. And with a bike this iconic, changing those headlights from 2 to 1, it just seems a little sacrilegious to me. Then what you'll find after 2013, they didn't change the bike all that much until they brought out a few different versions. Obviously they still had the R. They had the RX, which came out in 2015. Now the RX got mixed reports. If you find one, basically the complaint was that the extras they put on it didn't warrant the extra price. But if you're looking for a second-hand one, maybe that's come down. Have a little hunt around, because whilst they made it a bit too aggressive for it to work necessarily in a town as well as this one does, it does make it a bit sportier. It's kind of a halfway house between the popular Triumph Daytona and the Street Triple. So they made it more aggressive again, made it a little bit longer, changed the dynamics of the actual frame itself, and most importantly gave it a quick shifter, which is obviously a really good thing. Something else they brought out, which is very nice, is the Street Triple R, but a dark version. If you look for the Street Triple Dark, you will find one with black paint job, funnily enough, but it also has a really tasty Union Jack inlaid onto the tank, embossed. I don't know, it's in the finish of it, but it looks spectacular. Then obviously we come to present day, and we have a new model for 2017 with 765 cc's under the hood in the capacity of the engine. It's much bigger, it's much nicer. I haven't yet ridden it, but I am very excited to ride it. Just thinking about it makes me wander off and look into the middle distance and dream. Yeah, that's gonna be good. Oh, it's just a much better motor. It's awesome. And it's a proper good celebration of an already great machine. Fantastic 10-year celebration. Happy birthday, Street Triple. I didn't get you a cake though, sorry. I mean, you wouldn't know what to do with it. I could eat it for you. I'll get a cake on the way home. Obviously though, I would be remiss not to tell you about the faults of this bike, and there are some. So whilst it is a great machine, there are a few things you'll want to look out for if you're looking to buy a second-hand one. Numero uno. On this particular model, they had a few issues with the rectifier. If you're looking to buy one, ask the person who is selling it if they've changed the rectifier or had any rectifier problems. If they haven't changed it, don't let them put you off, obviously, because it might never go wrong. But be aware of it and look out for it. Now also, Triumph are aware of it, so if you do have any problems with it, then contact your dealer. They shouldn't have any problems. I believe the person who had this one actually got it changed over for free. So have a little look. But obviously it could be very inconvenient if you find yourself stranded because the battery's gone dead and you have to try and bump start it, because this is not an easy machine to bump start. Something else that's a bit of a problem is the swing arm, or at least it is to me. It irritated me because I had a paddock stand for my old bike, obviously, which had that 90-degree rubber grip shelf thing, if you follow, which obviously doesn't fit this bike because it's got the same swing arm as you would find on the Daytona, that curved edge one, which means that when you try and put it on there, especially by yourself, you try and put it up, but of course it slips off and feels like the bike is going to fall on its side, and it will infuriate you. And if you're anything like me, then you'll just smash the paddock stand, possibly. But maybe you've got better anger control than I do. In which case, what you'll do is go online and have a look for a paddock stand that will work with this bike. So you want to get one with that metal cradle, and of course you'll need some bobbins or something to grip onto the swing arm so that you can put the paddock stand underneath for that grip. It's me riding a horse, I suppose. Yeah. Oh, here's another big fault. This one really bugged me. It bugged me because it cost me £200 to fix. Now if I get my keys out, which is important, and they're in the other pocket. Are they? No, they're in the motor. There we go. That's always sensible, isn't it? Boop. Okay, so join me now. You're going to come in very useful. Oh fuck. Dun, 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 dun. You see this? This is a fuel tank. We all know what they look like. Down here is a little hole. That hole, as most of you will know, I hope, is a little runoff for water. Obviously when it is raining, water can get around that seal, and that is there so that it collects and pours away harmlessly from your fuel tank. Unless it gets blocked, which doesn't just happen on this bike, obviously there are others that do that as well. But if it does block, the water will collect and the water will pour into your fuel tank, and then your fuel is unusable and it will try and pump water around the system, which obviously will mean that your bike will not start. And if you're lucky, you'll be in a garage and you'll be at home and you can fix this. Take off the tank, drain the tank, and then refill it with fuel. Sorted. If you're unlucky, like me, you won't have a garage and you'll have to ring a mechanic and they'll have to come and pick it up and they'll have to do all of that work, which means spending about £200 to take off the fuel tank and drain it. Anyway, thank you for your help. You can go back. Here we go. Now the last fault I would pick up on or mention is the cam chain tensioner, CCT, if you look for it. And that is the noisy little thing down here, which I've pointed out on other bikes as well. It's quite common with quite a few bikes that it goes wrong because an automatic tensioner, the spring just gets loose over time and then will rattle to hell. So you can change that. You can put a manual one in there, obviously, and then you just be in charge of the tightening. It's not a problem, they'll go on for miles even when they are rattling. It's just that worst case scenario, it might jump a tooth on the cam chain, in which case it will ruin your valve clearances and your timing, and then obviously that will do all sorts of nasty buggery to your engine. So look out for it. So I hope that is a sufficient swan song to the street triples of old and why you should look for a second-hand one or a brand new one if you're looking for the newest. Why do I love this bike? It basically makes everything really easy. Could it work as a first bike? Potentially, depends on you. Obviously, if you're going to ride it like a hooligan, you may well kill yourself. If you're going to ride it sensibly and use it to learn on, then it will teach you a lot of very valuable lessons. What you'll find when you go onto other bikes, and I know I'm going to have the same thing, is if I go to a 4-cylinder now, I'm going to be irritated by the lack of low-end torque. If I go to a twin, I'm going to be irritated by the lack of high-end horsepower. So a triple for me sits perfectly in that middle ground, and it means that you can use it anywhere practically. I mean, if you had it on 5th gear going around some bends, it would still have plenty of torque to give you. Likewise, if you keep it in second and you're just plugging away, it peaks up to about 10,000 revs, actually 11,000 revs I think for horsepower, and around 9,000, 10,000 for torque. So it just keeps going. It just gives you a glut of it from about 2,000 onwards. Basically, it is a properly charismatic, versatile machine. Long may it reign supreme.
Smooth.